guys, Tech Rally here, and welcome to the 16th lesson of Blockstack plus React. If you've been with me to the first 15 lessons, I want to congratulate you on just going through this journey with me in creating a decentralized application. I really believe that the Blockstack approach is the most seamless way in terms of building a decentralized application, but by no means is it easy. Throughout the first 15 lessons, we were able to learn how to build an authentication route through our Blockstack identity. We were able to view and post files via get file and put file. And for the 16th lesson, we're going to be learning about deleting an admin post. I want to encourage you to keep trucking through these lessons because at the end of the lessons, we're going to be deploying this application to production. And I think this is super crucial because a lot of tutorials that I've watched on YouTube or sometimes even Udemy, they kind of just teach the concepts or how to build everything locally. But at the end of the day, you want to learn so you can build something that other people can use. And deploying to production is super crucial. And in this case, it's actually really going to be really easy. So I encourage you to keep watching these videos, learn the ins and outs of how Blockstack works. And we're going to continue to build a decentralized application. Let's continue with lesson 16 about deleting an admin post. For our application, we need the ability to delete a post. When we're deleting a post, we need to update two files, the posts.json file and the post-postid.json file. For the posts.json file, it's going to be relatively easy, and all we need to do is just remove that post from the array of posts and then call our put file again. The post-postid.json file will be a little bit more difficult because currently, as of March 2019, there is no functionality to delete a file. So the workaround for this is going to be updating that file with an empty string. And what that will do is when the user makes a request for that file, it's just going to return nothing. Since the content of the post will be empty when you delete that file, we need to have a safeguard in the post detail view component. And these are scenarios where a user might just remember the post ID and go to that URL directly. And if that happens and no information is available, we need to elegantly redirect them back to the home page or do some kind of notification system to let them know that this post is deleted. For the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to redirect them back to the homepage and not really give any notifications. But this is just something that you need to think about when you delete files. I encourage you to figure out your best way of safeguarding deleted posts, edited posts, or secured posts. Currently, I am in the admin post component, and that's nested under pages, admin, username, post, index file. And in this index/admin post component, what it does currently is that it loads the post and then passes that information to the post table component. What we want to do is add the ability to delete a post here, and we're going to create that function below the load post and pass that information to the post table. Once the post table has that function, we're going to be able to delete a post when we click on that button called delete post, and we'll call the function of that parent. For now, let's create the delete post function. And I know for a fact that it's going to be an asynchronous request. And the only argument that we're going to add in here is the post ID. And you're going to be able to find that post ID from the child component when that user clicks that button. In here, what we want to do is destructure out a couple of things. And the first thing we want to destructure out is the user session, which comes from the context. We also want to take out the posts from the state and also create our options object, decrypt false. And from here, we need to figure out which post is the one that we want to delete. This is relatively simple using Lodash's filter. And what we're going to do is say const filtered posts equals underscore filter of the posts. And then here we'll just say post of that single post. And then we'll say if the post.id does not equal the post ID. Now that we have this filter list, we can update both of our files. And we'll add a try and catch block here. And like before, we'll just say console.log e.message, and we'll make both of our requests inside of this single try block. Like I said before, putting an asynchronous request in a single try block can be a little risky because you don't really know which one will trigger the catch. But for the sake of this tutorial and simplicity, I'm going to do it right here. And the first one we're going to do is update our posts.json. So I'm going to write await user session .put file of the post file name and pass in the json.stringify of the filtered posts. And here we're also going to be passing in the options. The second one that we're going to update is the post-postid.json file, and in here we're just going to say user session.put file, and we're going to use the ES6 string interpolation here, and we're going to write post-postid.json, and then we're going to pass in just an empty string, and then also pass in the options here. So that empty string is basically mimicking the deletion. And after both asynchronous functions have completed, we're going to say this.setState of our posts to the filtered posts. Cool. Now that we've created this function, we just need to pass it down to our post table component. And we could do that by copying this here and writing delete posts, this.delete post. Let's go to our post table and handle that prop function appropriately. Currently, I'm on the posts table under components post table, and this is a post table component that is receiving the delete post function. So what we want to do here is add a prop type of function ptf, and that will satisfy our prop type validation. And what we want to do here is look at this specific button. Right now it's just console logging, clicking the delete button. What we want to do here is call a function called this.delete posts of the posts. Cool. And this is a post object here. So what we want to do now is create another function internal to the post table called delete post. And we'll take the post as a argument here. We're going to just call this.props.delete post of the post.id. Now that we've hooked up our delete post function between the admin post and the post table, let's go to our terminal and run npm run start, and I'll get back to you once the browser loads. So unsurprisingly, I made a mistake, and specifically this delete post function, I set the decrypt to false here, and that doesn't make any sense because decrypt false should only be applicable when you get the file. When you put the file, that's when you set the encrypt parameters to true or false. So right now for this, I'm going to set encrypt to false. And a second mistake I made from a previous lesson is specific to our post form component, and that lives right above our post table. And this scenario of destructuring the props works when we're editing a post, but when we're creating a new post, this post prop is undefined, and undefined.title will generate an error. And to fix this issue, we can just give it a default props of an empty object here. What this will do when the post is an empty object is just default to these empty strings. I realized I made that mistake because I was debugging offline, and I'm probably going to link this part of the clip in our previous lessons just to make sure anyone that's following through gets an idea of how to fix this issue. Let's move on to the browser and make sure everything works appropriately. Currently, I'm in my admin username page, and when I click posts, I see my list of posts here. And now we're going to test the delete functionality. So I'm going to delete post 4 and then maybe post 2. Perfect. The delete function is working appropriately. I go back to my profile and go back to my posts, and it lists the appropriate posts. The next feature we want to address is to redirect a user back to his admin post page if he or she tries to access a deleted post via direct URL. So in other words, if I know that this ID previously existed and I tried to go here this should redirect back to the admin post page because that post no longer exists. In our post detail view, which is located above the post form component, is where we make the request to get that post information. And currently right now, if the result exists, then we set the state of the post. Otherwise, we return null. Let's add some modification here. Instead of just returning null, what we want to do is navigate that user back to the main page. So first we need to import with router from React router DOM. And this is a higher component that we're going to need to add right here. Cool. Now that we have the with router higher order component connected, we can access the prop of history, and that will be an object. In the component dim mount is where we're going to destructure out the history. And unlike before where we just return null if a result doesn't exist, we need to push our user back to the index page. So it'll be something like admin/gomas.id/posts. Unfortunately, right now we don't have access to the username. So we can go back to where our post detail view is being imported and make the adjustments to send down the proper props. We can go back to where our post detail view is being imported, and that's located under the pages admin username posts post ID. In the post detail view here, we're only passing in match and user session, but we can also pass in the username here, and we'll also pass it in here. Now that we passed in the username props to the post detail view, we can close this window, and this post detail view will now have access to the username, and that will be a string. What we can do at the end here is now instead of returning null, we're going to say return history.push, and we'll use ES6 syntax here again, admin/username/posts. We forgot to destructure it out of the props. Cool. I'll keep this comment here to indicate what we're doing. Let's test it out in the browser. Before I delete this post, I'm going to save this ID, and I'm going to view it, and that works perfectly fine. I'm going to delete this post. It's deleted. I'm going to say /ID, and now it redirects back to the index page. Perfect. This is exactly what we want. We don't want to show the user any information about a deleted post. I think this is a good stopping point for this lesson. In the past 4 to 5 lessons, we were able to create, edit, view, and delete a post. In the next lesson, it's going to be fairly quick, but what we want to address is the potential bad actors that can access these admin routes. And what we're going to do is just add a very small safeguard to make sure you are who you say you are, and only you have access to your admin user posts. For right now, this app is a little buggy because I could type in anything here, like typo, and it'll still render my Gomas post, which is not what we want to do. We want to make sure that only you as a user have access to your admin posts. I can't wait to work on that with you. See you then.